Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Joyce, and I am so happy to be with you today to share our Bible story. We all have expectations and hopes about things and people. For example, because you see me right now, you expect me to tell you a story about God. When you see your family and friends, you expect them to act in a certain way. Well, when Jesus went to Nazareth, where he grew up, people there expected him to act in a certain way too. They had their own idea of what Jesus should be like and what he should say. But Jesus did what God expected of him, not what the people expected. Our story today can be found in Luke chapter 4, verses 14 through 30. Stories about Jesus spread throughout Galilee. Even the people of Nazareth, where Jesus grew up, had heard stories about Jesus' teaching and miracles in other cities. While in Nazareth, on the Sabbath day, Jesus went into the synagogue there. Jesus stood up to read, and the book of Isaiah was given to him. Jesus read these words about the promised Savior. "The Spirit of the Lord is in me. This is because God chose me to tell the good news to the poor. God sent me to tell the prisoners of sin that they are free, and to tell the blind that they can see again. God sent me to free those who have been treated unfairly, and that God is ready to give blessings to all who come to him." Among those who listened were people who had known Jesus nearly all his life. They were proud men, unwilling to learn new truths. They had heard of Jesus' miracles in Cana and Capernaum, but they did not believe he was the promised Savior. Jesus was only a poor man. They expected the Savior to be rich and powerful. Everyone watched and waited for Jesus to speak. They were surprised when they heard his words. They did not know he could speak so well. His words pleased them until he said, "Today Isaiah's words have come true. I am the one who is to preach the gospel to the poor and the captives, to heal and to help as Isaiah promised." Jesus was telling them he was the prophet Isaiah had promised was coming. "How could this be true?" they asked one another. "Isn't this Joseph's son?" Jesus knew they would not believe him. No prophet is accepted in his own town. Jesus said, "One time Elijah the prophet ran away from Israel to hide in the home of a poor widow in a heathen land. Because this poor widow cared for God's prophet, God took care of her. God healed Naaman the heathen leper when he obeyed Elisha's words. Yet many Israelites had leprosy and were never healed. The proud men of Nazareth were angry. They grabbed Jesus and pulled him outside the synagogue. They led Jesus to the top of the high hill on which Nazareth was built. They planned to throw him over the edge upon the sharp rocks far below. Strangely enough, Jesus walked quietly through the excited mob, and they did not see him go, because God protected Jesus. Jesus went to Capernaum, the city by the Sea of Galilee, where he taught the people about God, and the people were glad to listen. At first, the people liked what Jesus was saying. They thought he was going to do all these wonderful things for them and for other Jewish people. But then, Jesus talked about how this good news was for all people. Then they were angry. Jesus did not live up to their expectations. They expected him to do great miracles for them, but certainly not for Gentiles, the non-Jewish people. We may sometimes feel as if we have lots of expectations from many people. Our teachers, our parents, our friends. Whom should we listen to most? Whom did Jesus listen to most? God. Then who would be next? Our parents. Jesus obeyed Mary and Joseph, and God tells us in His Word to obey our parents. God and our parents can help us know how to deal with other people's expectations.